Jeremy from Jeremy.net. I am a comic book artist, writer, creator, self publisher, and I share my creative process here with you online. If you enjoy these live streams, you'd like to get additional bonus live streams twice a month, you can become a Patreon subscriber for as little as $2 a month. Head on over to patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. If you'd like to get a free digital sketchbook, work in progress animated GIFs delivered right to your inbox, blog posts about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what inspired me creatively, sign up for my free monthly newsletter at newsletter.jeremy.net. And if you'd like to purchase physical copies of my comic books, or if you read digitally on Kindle, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. They'll forward you to my Amazon author page where you can pick up my books. All right. So let's see here. I see that Byron is already in the chat, already joined us. Oh, wait. Yes. Okay, here we go. That's so weird. There were comments a minute ago, and now they're gone. All right. That was odd. I guess maybe the stream is doing something weird now where it eliminates any comments that are made after the before the beginning of the stream. Anyways, continuing with the cover sketch that I was working on for last week for this new short comic book story I'm doing. And I realized right off the bat that I am breaking one of my own cardinal sins. Byron's still there. How you doing, Byron? He says YouTube chat API is a strange bowl of code spaghetti. Yeah. Oh, hey, and Red's in the chat. Hey, nice to see you, Red. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Byron was here before the stream started and just said he was early, so I just gave him a quick hey. Then I come back. I'm like, where did Comic go? So, yeah, I guess something weird going on under the hood, above my pay grade. But as I was saying, cardinal sins. One of the things that really what allowed me to finish my previous comic book series, Morningstar, and honestly, even before that, my first graphic novel, Eye of the Gods, was laser focus. Picking the one thing I was working on, which is that series, and just staying focused on it until it was done. And every time I sat down to work, I was working on the comic. Might be working on a different page, might be working on character designs, might be working on layouts, might be working on different aspects of it. But it was the fact that I was completely focused. And I bring that up because before starting today, I was questioning whether I wanted to work on this or an illustration that someone had actually brought up to me, a follow-up to a piece I had done a long time ago. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I've got some ideas for that. And I considered working on that as well. But the fact that I've got these illustrations that I'm doing, the fact that I also am trying to finish, well, not even finish, but do some figure drawing work to make finished pieces to sell on my store, as well as just doing the fixing bad figure drawing sessions I do here with you guys, where I take some of my work from class and analyze it, break down the mistakes I'm making, where I'm going wrong, where it could be better, where it could be better. All of those things, it's like I've got multiple projects going on at once, and none of them are really getting as much attention as they deserve. And I realized that if I want to make some real progress with this comic, I am going to have to buckle down. Not just this comic, but this comic is just a stopgap while I'm trying to finish writing the next comic. And I realized that for both of these, for all of my projects, I'm going to have to buckle down a bit and get this whole being all over the place under control. So let's see here. Red says, sorry, I was busy working on the project. You know what? You never need to apologize. I say it's an open door policy here. Everyone gets busy. You guys, if anything, the fact that you're off because you're actually going and making stuff, that's good. I'm happy to hear that. That's what I want you guys to do. Whenever you guys want to come back and check in, I'm here. Whenever you want to just come and shoot the shit about art or ask questions, I'm here. So go do your thing. And hey, Dylan, good to see you. Dylan's in the chat too. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Let's see here. Red mentioned Morningstar, my comic, and he says like Lucifer Morningstar. Yes. Usually give a little bit of a spiel about the comic book at the end of the live stream, but it is a retelling of Lucifer. Here, I'll go large so you can actually see the cover. But so it's a series that I wrote and drew, and it is 8 issues retelling Lucifer's fall from heaven as a Western. So I kind of tell people that it's sort of like Paradise Lost meets Unforgiven. And so there's 8 issues. Volume 1 contains the first 4 issues. Volume 2 contains the second 4 issues. So yeah, it's a story I wrote and drew and did the lettering and the gray tone. I did the whole thing. And on the YouTube homepage of my channel, there's actually a flip through video so you can see what's inside the book if you want to check that out. But yeah, that was my first project. Well, not my first project. That's my most recent project. Dylan says, and I remember Dylan mentioning that you had these books coming. You said you received the 3 issues of Ultra Mega about 5 days ago, and it's good so far. I've only read 1 and 2. 2 was a little boring. I love the color scheme, the texture the art has. It's on my list to read. Oddly enough, my reading has also been all over the map. I started reading some prose. Richard Matheson, the author of I Am Legend. Well, actually, I have the book I Am Legend is really a novella, and the copy of it that I have has the book plus several short stories, and I've been reading that lately because I find that I need something to read in the evenings to kind of help my brain unwind. And as much as I want to read a lot of comics, reading prose activates that part of my imagination, that's picturing things. And I feel like that is actually providing a little bit more mental, I don't want to say stimulation, but it's providing the mental unwinding that I need at the end of a long work day. So I've been reading that. And then also I've been trying to work on dialogue for my comics, and I'm reading a few screenplays. Right now I'm reading the screenplay to The Sting, that old Robert Redford, Paul Newman movie. And it's pretty good so far. So, but yeah, Ultra Mega has been on my to read list for a while now. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like I've only seen a few James Harren comics, but everything I've seen from his is amazing. So I want to dig into more of his work. And Byron says, and this is into the conversation about about having a lot of irons in the fire. He says, I feel all of that. Today I'm going to bang out 5 quick and dirty pages because I'm super behind for my Inktober project. I have never done Inktober, and it's not out of any distaste or dislike for the event. I always feel like my art challenge is just whatever book or illustration, whatever project I'm currently working on. Like, life is my art challenge. That doesn't mean that, I've often thought, oh, I should do Inktober. I draw in pen and ink a lot. Excuse me. It sounds like it would be right up my alley, and it really would. But I rarely make time for things like art challenges. So perhaps someday in the future I'll have some time. But for now, not so much. And I realized I need to pull up my reference while I'm doing this. Let's see here. Go. My little reference sheet. There we go. Should make this dog maybe not quite as tall. Oh no, that's actually a pretty decent height. I don't want him to be massive. I don't want it to be like a German Shepherd. See here. Red mentioned on the see here. Red says the art is wonderful. I think they're referring to Ultra Mega, which is good. I'm looking forward to that. Like I said, love James Herron's work. And Dylan mentions, fun fact, Lucifer predates the Bible and is actually a mistranslation. Um, yeah, I mean, there's many mythologies that have stories of a creature that is some sort of fallen angel. One of our cats is freaking out upstairs, and I'm wondering why. And honestly, a lot of times it's because she wants to play, and she knows I'm streaming. Let's see here. Red says, I'm trying to make a story in a fictional country to have more freedom and freedom to draw any biomes I like, however I like. And honestly, going with a fictional world, like you said, it just gives you control. If there's things you can build on our existing world, but at the same time, if you want to shift and go and come up with whatever political system, what kind of creatures, land masses, continents, you know, natural or supernatural phenomena, you've got that freedom to do that. So there is something to be said for having a fictional location or setting for your story. Dylan says, I also received my Posca pens like 2 days ago and they're cool, but sadly my blue is almost completely dried out. Well, that sucks. I hope it didn't arrive dried out. I hope it's dried out because you've been doing so much blue in 2 days that you just went through it. But well, maybe you can return that one pen or get them to replace it. Let's see here. In terms of my reference, Dylan says, you mean a reference sheet. You guys are killing me. All right. Anyway, I really need to just lock in here and get these gestures down. And I'll tell you that the biggest challenge for me really is learning to let go with this project because one of the things I'm really trying to do is get over that nature, that tendency that tendency to correct everything, to be a perfectionist, and trying to learn how to make comics in kind of a looser, simpler, more spontaneous manner. All right, hang on just a sec. I need to pause for a moment. Let me mute this. Oh, Red is like, cat be tripping. Yeah, one of our cats is particularly like attention needy, and she does that thing like if you watch Family Guy where Stewie's like ma, mama, mommy, mom, ma. Like she will do that for like 10 minutes straight, and then you're like, what? And she's like, hi. It's like nothing's wrong, but she's meowing like her head off bloody murder. So I just went, grabbed her, gave her one of her favorite toys, sat her by the window so she can watch the birds, which she could do without me. But hey, cats. Okay, let's see here. So Dylan mentioned with the markers, the blue. Sadly, it arrived dried out. Not sure if I can get a replacement since it was a pack of 16 and ordered it through Blick. I mean, at least shoot them an email and let them know that it arrived that way, because maybe they will be able to send you just the color that you need. If they sell them the markers individually, then they probably will be able to fill it. And plus, Blick is a big enough company that a lot of times, just in terms of like I've always had good experiences with them. They want to keep their customers happy, so it's very possible if you just tell them, "Hey, this arrived, it's dried out," that maybe they will send you a replacement. It's worth at least dropping them an email and asking. Um, let's see here. So Red asks, "How's your Greek mythology comic? I hope it's all right." It is well. I haven't touched it because I started working on this comic. But the point of this comic was so that I would have some breathing space for writing the Greek mythology story, because that one I really am being more of a perfectionist about, even though I kind of wanted to do the same thing with that one as with this one, where I just simplified and was just telling a more direct story. But point being is that this short story that I'm doing is meant to be something to just let me have something new that I'm putting out that's a comic, while I'm spending more time doing that, writing that Greek mythology story, so that as soon as this short story is done, I can go right into that. It's finished, it's ready. It's got more, it's a longer story, and it'll be, I won't have to take any breaks, and then I can just go into the routine that I've been meaning to start, which is just write every day, always have something that's finished and ready to start drawing. So, I mean, it's going. I guess I can't really say it's going okay. I don't really know how it's going because I haven't touched it because I'm working on this thing now. I haven't abandoned it, and you pointing that out and just asking about it right now makes me say, you know what? Let me stop fussing with this cover. Like, what does it look like if I really just cut loose and just start jamming on art? The problem is with most of the things that I draw, I start drawing and I look at it and I see things that are wrong and I want to fix it. So it's tough. Let's see here. Dylan says, part of me wishes that gold, silvers, and other metallics would be in their own sets, because to me it's a waste since they usually aren't that good quality. So I'd rather have a different color. Um, I mean, it's weird. I think most marker companies usually do sell their metallics as separate sets. So I don't know why that particular set would have them included in their basic set. That's kind of weird. So, but what can you do, right? I mean, overall, if you like the quality of the materials, then I mean, the other thing you can do is I don't know how cost prohibitive it would be to order just the individual colors that you want versus a set. Sometimes it is way too expensive to do it that way, but other times, if you really only need like half the colors in the set, you might be better off just ordering individually. I know Blick is one of the few art retailers that does that as opposed to just getting a set. But it also depends on which what brand of marker you're getting. Let's see here. Red says, "Oh, you're like me. I have so many stories to tell." At the point I store it away in the file. It, we're all in the same boat, Dylan too. I have a million stories and characters. I mean, in a perfect world, what I would like to do is I'm trying to. One of the things I want to do is develop a style that is really just cleaned up layouts. I mean, as it is, I don't really pencil. Whether I'm working digitally or traditionally, I basically draw like rough layouts and then basically ink the layouts. But what I want to do is get my style a little bit looser, get all of the energy and storytelling that I want to get down in the layout stage. And then all I do is just clean up basically the faces and any anatomy that's super wonky. Like that's what I want to do is transition into a style where it's really just loose and expressive, and most of the heavy lifting is done by the layouts. And I'm gonna go a little bit, I'm not like muting, but I'm gonna go a little bit quiet every once in a while, except for when I turn up and look at the chat, only because the thing I realized when I was working on this last week is that I really like I redrew the guy like 3 times, and believe it or not, yeah, it's just a guy standing there in a coat. I'm still not happy with him, and I don't know why. Um, it's not so much perfectionism as it is there is something that I want the drawing to feel. There's a feeling I want it to have, and I'm not getting it. What does it have to do with me being quiet, you say? Well, sometimes, I mean, this gets into the super woo woo, but sometimes you got to kind of stare into the abyss. It's like looking into the drawing and asking the drawing, all right, what do you want? What is incorrect about this? What's not working? And move stuff around until you get the drawing where it needs to be. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Corey's in the chat. Good to see you, Corey. Corey Kerr, great comic creator, art animator, art educator, creator at large, illustrator. Mentions like Ryan Woodward's gestural style in Thought of You. You know what's crazy? Believe it or not, the style isn't coming to mind at the moment. I'm gonna have to go and look up more of his work and reference that. Um, the nearest touchstone that I can think of is if you're familiar with Dave McKean's work, not his elaborate Sandman covers, But when he's just drawing sequential art like cages or well, I mean, even his children's book illustration. But cages is kind of the main thing that I'm thinking of for Dave McKean or um, work like Jim Mahfood and who's another I think inspiration for the style that I'm going for. Um, Eddie Campbell. Eddie Campbell is another one. I mean, these are all guys who they're master illustrators, but their work, it's not that it's effortless, it's that it's not labored. It doesn't feel like kind of the precision, like chiseled, detailed art that we think of when we think of American mainstream comics. You know, it's much more feeling like jazz, free form, free flowing. That's kind of what I'm trying to move towards. But I will tell you that one of the things that came out of my mouth just a few minutes ago that actually kind of bugs me was me saying that, you know, when I was talking about staring into the drawing and trying to figure out what's wrong, the idea of not being able to quantify what exactly it is that I'm doing, I mean, that's just me acknowledging what the challenge I'm facing. But it feels kind of like a cop out to me for me to say I don't know what the drawing wants. I'm just looking at it and moving stuff around until I figure it out. Because the way that I generally operate in art and in the world is that I'm very analytical. If there's a problem, I try to identify the problem and then identify a series of potential solutions and then just work through the solutions one by one until I find one that I like. And sometimes I may find a solution and still try a few more just to say, well, wait, are there variations? Are there ways to optimize this? I'm pretty methodical about my process. And to just say, oh, it doesn't look right, let me keep drawing, that's the fact. That's actually the experience that I'm having in the moment. But it is antithetical to my approach to dealing with these problems. Now, the dog feels a little bit better here. Yeah, let me scroll back up to the costumes. Oh, we're on the marker talk. Dylan mentions exactly. We get two greens, two blues, two browns, but just one pink, purple, black, white, gray, orange, and red. I'm like, yeah, you would definitely need. It says I would prefer one black, one white, two gray, and two of each color, or something like that. I mean, hell, I would probably want like two or three black because that seems like, well, that tells you something about my art. That black is what the marker I'd be using the most of. Um, but yeah, I mean, it really seems like just kind of like I feel like red and blue, you would get two of each of those, maybe a red and then a maroon or a magenta, and or a bright red and then a burgundy or a brick red, and then a dark blue and a light blue. Crazy. Um, So Red asks, Halloween is coming up. What are you dressing up as? And I mean, I will tell you, sadly, I have no plans for any type of costume. I don't think I have dressed up for Halloween since college. And even in college, I wasn't really planning to dress up at all. But um, at the time, a girl that I thought was cute wanted me to go with her to uh, uh, the West Hollywood Halloween parade, and she was dressed as a Greek goddess, and I basically wore like a toga and went as a character that related to whatever the Greek mythology, um, whatever the theme of her costume was. I just was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll go. Because I mean, I think most stupid things that people do is because somebody they think is cute. Um, but yeah, I honestly cannot remember the last time I dressed up for. Well, actually, no, that's not true. My wife and I, we went to. I think it was either a Halloween party or someone's birthday party that was on Halloween. But I think we dressed as hippies. It was like a hippie themed party, and I can't remember if it was a birthday party or a Halloween party, but everyone was dressed. Now that I say it out loud, I realize it couldn't have been a Halloween party because everyone was wearing the same theme. And if it was a Halloween party, everyone would have different costumes. So it was just a 60s themed party. But I've never been much for dressing up in costume. For as much as I love comics and superheroes, the costuming myself, not really my bag. Um, that is not to poo-poo whatever costumes other people might have and however they might want to dress up. I highly encourage that. But for myself, not so much. Let's see here. Mm. And on the markers, Dylan says also one gold, one silver, but I find metallics in a base set of markers. That's me adding the markers. Base set not useful and a waste. Ooh, too soon. Red says I'm dressed up as P Diddy because it has a high chance of scaring someone. Ooh, true though. True though. Let's see here. And Dylan says you also get into the flow state. See here. And Corey says I'll have to go check out Cages. I'm familiar with Mahfood. Have I read Gorillas by Bram Revel? That is fast, loose illustration, and I am going to write that down right now. I have not heard of Gorillas or Bram Revel or Ravel, and so I will check that out. Thank you for the recommendation. All right. Let's see here. Corey mentions, I am struggling with the same thing. I am curious to hear more about that. In fact, that's probably a good excuse for me to have a late live stream and have you on sometime soon. Because by the way, I did actually get all caught up on the audiobook. Well, on your novel being written in public. And I will tell I love the fact that there's those couple of dark chapters where you really got into sort of like the time just really falling apart and all the horrible downsides of it. Um, those were actually some of my favorite parts, not because I think the whole thing should be dark, but because I think and I like contrast where you like so far it's been a very like kind of a Douglas Adams, very humorous jaunt through a surrealistic event. And to have some really like kind of tragic, nightmarish elements to it I like contrast and it makes for great contrast. Um, but I wasn't aware that you were juggling tons of projects at once because I kind of thought that you were just doing that plus illustrations plus teaching. But yeah, having a lot to do. I don't know if you were talking about the idea of simplifying style as the problem you're struggling with, or whether you're talking about because when I started the stream, I was talking about the fact that I had too many projects going on at once. Um, but yeah, trying to simplify and strip things down is very much on my mind. I'm kind of jumping back and forth. It's easier for me now that the dog's body is blocked and I'm happy with it. The easy solution would be to just go in and keep working on the dog. But what I really want to do is get the the humanoid figure working, because I want the loose sketch for both of these guys to really feel right. And it's the strangest thing. If I turn this off, hmm, I can't imagine this is going to work well, but let's see what happens if I go in here and just take this and just start carving away at it. Because I don't know why. It's not like this is a particularly good drawing. This is that weird thing that 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 Dave McKean, Jim Mahfood thing that I'm talking about, where this simple sketch really works for me. Like, it's not necessarily even that great of a drawing per se, but it feels right. And I think that's the interesting thing. What I'm pursuing is trying to do drawings that have better feeling. It's not about the drawing itself being better. I'm trying to get that. And the feeling that this little thumbnail had just felt right. Maybe that's the way to do it, is to go in here and carve out a drawing instead of trying to build one up. Let's see here. Hey, and Paul Pate in the chat. Hey, Paul, how's it going? I clicked the show, and then it just doesn't want to do anything. Good to see you, Paul. And James is here too. Hey, James, how's it going, man? James in the same boat with me. Says no costume for me this year. Might be going to a Halloween event out of town with a friend later this month though. I remember at my previous day job, they would have Halloween, like a Halloween parade and costume, and I never participated honestly because I was just like, look, I got work to do, and I don't have time to sit down and come up with a costume at home. When I have work to do when I'm at work, and I have work to do at home, I'm not dicking around with any Halloween costumes. Now, that's not to say that it wasn't worthwhile, because a lot of the people at work came up with some really amazing and innovative costumes. Because it's a toy company, everyone that works there is highly creative. Um, People had some amazing costumes, but I remember one year, all I did was I went online. I found a really nice high res image of Mike Mignola's Hellboy. And then I just cut out just the head and printed it on like cardstock, and then put a little handle. So it was like a mask that I could just hold in front of my face. And I just had like a little Hellboy mask with eye holes cut out. And that was my Halloween costume. So if I were going to go somewhere, I might do something like that, where I just find something that's comic related and just make a paper mask of that. Do something that's weird. Wouldn't want to do something that's like a Batman or a Superman. I'd try to find something that's sort of like people are like, what the hell is that? I mean, go as like, I don't know, go as Cerebus or something. Um, Paul says, during COVID, I went out as as Rocky for Halloween, got COVID. That sounds like Well, he didn't knock. It sounds like you got the knockout instead of knocking COVID out. That sucks. But glad you made it through well. Let's see here. Red says the tongue is too long for a dog, don't you think? Um, it is too long, but it's also a dog that's possessed by a demon. So I think I'm going to stick with the long tongue. James says, I'm not sure if car designers inspire artists at all, but Mercedes designer Bruno Sacco passed away about a month ago. Oh, that's sad. Um, I mean, it depends on the artist. I happen to, I've worked with toy designers that specifically design like not Hot Wheels, but designing toy vehicles. And a lot of them, there was one guy I worked with who amazing artist. He really did come from an industrial design background and did study vehicle design before getting into the toy industry. So I think there are probably many many artists who look at vehicles and car design. Um, I think it depends on whether you're a designer as an artist or not. And when I say that, I mean someone who really incorporates design into a lot of aspects of their creativity. But for those who do, I would say that not just car designers, but literally almost any designer. And it's funny that we mentioned Mike Mignola because as I'm looking at this is feeling kind of Mignola-ish, Hellboy-ish. Let's see here. James says, it's funny to me how a point 0.5 and 0.7 are common sizes for mechanical pencils, but you have more options with artist pencils. Um, well, I mean, it's funny when I think about using pencils. If anything, I want something that can be almost same as a charcoal pencil, like how you have a nice thick pencil you can get a really broad stroke with. Um, but graphite doesn't seem to lay down the same way that charcoal does with that kind of nice buttery, almost oil painty feel. I'm looking at this, and whatever I thought I was going for with this, that's not doing it either. Get rid of that. Go back to this sketch. I'm going to keep reading the comments, and I think for this sketch, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep building. I think this is one of those where I don't have the answer. And so for me, the answer is just keep building, keep adding and taking away until I get to something that feels like what I want it to. And that's an interesting point. Just the fact that I said feels like what I want it to. I think the challenge is that I have not clearly defined what I'm going for in this illustration. Yes, it's supernatural. And yes, I want this guy to kind of feel like just a husky guy who's bumming around and looking kind of casual. But I think that there's an abstract quality to the tone that I'm going for that I have not clearly defined. And I think that's the thing that has me drawing and erasing, is that abstractness. And also, I think I need to make the dog a little bit smaller because I want this guy to feel kind of massive. First off, his head is too big in the sense that if I want him to really seem like a big ass guy, I got to make his head kind of like small and his body big. In fact, that's it right there. The proportions. I'm not pushing the proportions. That's the problem with this. I got to push his proportions a little bit more. Um, let's see here. And Paul says, dressing up as a grumpy old man this year. I think we've all got that costume. Oh, Corey says, I'd love to come on anytime. That'd be fun. You know what? I keep talking about it. What do you think about if you're free next Sunday? What I can do is I can try to. Well, first off, let me make sure that that is not a Sunday that my wife and I have something planned. I'm gonna look at my phone right now before I do that. No, everything should be fine. There's another Sunday that we have some people coming for the weekend, but it's not that weekend. What do you think if I do the live stream 2 hours later? So instead of 11 Pacific Standard Time, 1 o'clock Pacific time, which I'm not sure what time that would be for you. But I'll follow. You don't have to necessarily answer right now, but I'll follow up with you after the live stream. But maybe if you're free next Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific, then we could just do it then and just hang out and shoot the shit and talk process. Let's see here. Paul says, "Gonna tell the kids to get off my lawn." You know what's funny is my wife and I were talking about getting some candy for the kids, and she was saying the beauty is we're in a new area. We don't know how much trick or treating happens around here. So she was like, "Let's get stuff that if nobody shows up, then we can eat it ourselves." And of course, I am not going to. She likes more chocolate. I like more of the sweet, sugary, like fruit candies. But I'm not gonna turn that down. All right, I'm gonna probably end up moving these guys back closer together at some point. But for now, I'm shrinking down the dog a little bit and moving him down. What I'm gonna do with the guy is I need to. That's the first thing. I realize the proportions are just too blah. I need to do something interesting with his proportions. And I don't know what interesting means yet. I'm going to figure that out here on the page. Just trying to figure out what is interesting. Um, I need to. This is the thing. I was just thinking in terms of just drawing a figure, and now I need to kind of get into shape language a little bit more. And the other thing I need to keep in mind is that as much as I'm making this guy kind of bigger, he's not the main character because in this story that I'm doing, the the dog and the man are actually body swapped. So the man is a demon walking in human form, and then that demon gets trapped in the dog's body. That's the premise of the cartoon, the not the cartoon, the one shot that I'm doing here. So I need to just get into the shape language a little bit. And Paul says a Corey Jeremy mashup. Let's see what it's in the works. Corey says I'm developing a comic called Muddites Goo in the Machine right now. So I'm dealing with juggling multiple projects and developing a faster illustration style to deal with projects. And Paul says, "I love Halloween. So fun to see people dressed and acting out." Yeah, I mean, I it's not like I'm a bah humbug about Halloween. I think it's really really cool. I I just more enjoy being a viewer and a spectator than actually participating in the Halloween festivities. But no, I think that's actually pretty awesome. Let's see, so I'm gonna play with maybe making his legs smaller and his upper body kind of That's the thing. I need to start playing with the proportions here. This guy's proportions were just a little too straightforward, and maybe making his arms a little bit over elongated. And I kind of want him to feel like he's dressed up, kind of snazzy, because he's gonna be kind of a weird, goofy character. Because it's a dog trapped in a man's body. Let's see here. Um, Dylan says this is an interesting and unique title, Corey. And I mean, I expect nothing less. You always bring the thought provoking and the curious kind of like. Either way, the ideas you have draws the person in. There's always something that's intriguing, but it's not just a high concept hook. There's something that makes someone want to lean in and say, "What is that?" And that's what I think good art does. Is it elicits curiosity on the part of the viewer. Let's see here. Dylan says, yeah, feeling is important. What does your drawing, does what you're drawing suit your story or the ideas you're conveying? Yeah, and that's something that I think so much about. Not, no, I think about it in the fact that I feel most of the time that I'm not doing it as well as I should be. A lot more of the time, I'm so focused on just the drawing craft that I'm not getting what it whether a piece does or does not convey what I'm trying to get at. And a lot of times it's also the fact that I don't necessarily even know what I'm trying to get at. I don't know what not that you every piece of art needs to have a major theme or message, but you got to know what you want to say before you can say anything that's worth saying. You know what? Even that though, that kind of rules out kind of stream of consciousness art, which I think can be very profound. So that I need to put a pin in that because I immediately disagree with the statement I just made. Um, it's tough. I don't know. Let's see here. Red said, I just realized Corey and Paul know each other. Well, I think that's how Paul found me, is from occasionally me popping up on the Artcasters, of which Corey is one, have been kind enough to have me on their live stream a few times. And like, for instance, Dylan, I'm pretty sure that's how Dylan found me as well. So, hell, Corey, I think half my audience to you guys. But I think there's definitely a few people that started following me after being on their live stream. So Corey, along with Joshua Kimball and Scott Circlin, they all do a great. For anyone who doesn't know, which anyone who's watching my stream, I feel like I've mentioned them enough times. You guys should know. But yeah, the Artcasters do a great weekly live stream that rotates between their 3 channels, and they just discuss all manner of creativity and creative process, whether it's animation, comics, illustration, storytelling in general, writing, like all kinds of stuff. So you guys should definitely, if you enjoy this, imagine having like 3 people like way smarter than I am, all talking together and having a guest every week. That's the Artcasters. So definitely check that. Let's see here. Scroll back up. Let's see here. And Paul says, "Ooh, Corey, can't wait to see. I just started writing my next book. My hero is named Arthur Cromartie. It's a great name. That is a great name. And in fact, I went on kind of a weird, like multiple names, going through a lot of Greek mythology before I found something that was very simple that I wanted to use. I've already forgotten what I named the main characters here. But yeah, just the process of naming characters is art unto itself. And Corey says the title is a very specific nod to some events in the UK during the Industrial Revolution. Dylan says that is interesting, and yes, Cromartie is a rad name. I agree. Double down on that one. Ah, Goes by Artie. Artie Cromartie. You're killing me, man. Let's see here. Back to Halloween costumes. Dylan says, I dressed up as Damien from Mean Girls, where he's wearing his hoodie and sunglasses for an Instagram live last Halloween. You know what? It has been too long since I have seen Mean Girls. I don't remember any of the characters. I saw Mean Girls. I liked Mean Girls. I don't remember any of the characters. And I'm going to read some more comments in a second. I'm just sitting here and I'm trying to look into this drawing. And when I say look into, it's just visualization in the sense of me trying to really figure out what is the thing that that is not in this drawing that I want to be in it. I don't know why, but for some reason my instinct tells me, because I didn't do any model sheets, I'm making up this character as I go along. Something tells me to just draw a little thumbnail of the character up here in the side jumping in the air. Almost Spider-Man like, which is interesting because he's a dog. He wouldn't, well, I mean, he might leap to try and catch a bird or something. But if anything, his build is probably more like a Marv from Sin City. Okay, that's a way to describe this guy. Imagine if this was a black Marv possessed by a demon. That is what this character is. Or no, a black Marv possessed by a dog. Because he starts out as a demon, and then, like I said, gets trapped. Of course, now that coat is a lot bigger than I want it to be. I want it to be more of a sport coat, not a trench coat. You know, and the thing I was saying about simplifying and not taking forever, I kind of thought to myself that maybe by not doing model sheets, that would save me from getting bogged down because honestly, model sheets and character design to me, I could honestly make a whole project of just doing model sheets for these characters. Like I could literally be doing spend a month just doing model sheets. And I don't want to do that. I'm literally was going to be like, I'm just going to start doing this comp. Like after this page was going to be thumbnails for the next page, and then draw the next page, and just sort of build the comic as I go, which is very antithetical to how I normally work. But just trying to be more spontaneous, or rather, what I really mean is that I want to have, because I'd mentioned that the Greek mythology project before is still happening. What I want is to have one project that is spontaneous and just going with the flow and very organic, and then have one project going in the background that is my meticulous, the place where I can try and make a quote unquote masterpiece, a place where I'm doing a comic where if I want to be a perfectionist, that's fine. It's whatever it's going to be. But this being the project that isn't going to be the perfectionist project, I thought, let me not do model sheets because that's me getting caught up in that instead of just making up the characters on the page as I go. Let's see here. I am guessing this is a line from Mean Girls. Corey's like, she doesn't even go here. See, now I got to go back and rewatch Mean Girls. I feel like with all the Halloween stuff that's going on right now, it's almost like I'd like to see Mean Girls redone, but the entire movie with everyone in Halloween costumes, the whole thing, for no explanation. Let's see here. Paul says a demon possession lends itself to long tongues naturally. Dylan says she doesn't, Corey. Uh, he said that line as the opening in my life. Shoot the shit. I always love that phrase. I'm fond of that phrase as well. See here. Dylan says, in my area, we don't do trick or treating. We go to other neighborhoods to do that. Yeah, it is interesting. I'm not sure what. This is our first time being in this area in this neighborhood during Halloween, so we'll see what the vibe is. Now, it is definitely a festive vibe. Like they have like a Halloween, like a scarecrow festival, and we're going to be going to that. We've got a lot of festive events. There's like scarecrow decorations throughout the entire town. So it's super cool in that sense. They're definitely down for it. We're just, the trick or treating itself is not something that we're sure of what goes on here. And to be honest, I feel like I feel like if I was interested in doing the costumes, my wife would love it. So I kind of feel bummed out that I'm not as enthusiastic about the costumes because I feel like she would really enjoy dressing up if there was something for us to go and do where we would be dressed up. Um, I think that this is a bizarre thing, and I know creative people who really love Halloween, but for me, my brain is so consumed with writing and drawing and just getting through like my day job work that I don't feel like I have the mental bandwidth to do it. Like I would have to it would be me forcing myself to come up with a costume and something to do and making something as opposed to just naturally, oh, this would be fun. And it feels like Halloween should be fun. And I try to not do things that are me forcing myself and just try to enjoy. Except for writing. Writing is me forcing myself to do something. But I got to do that to get to the final, to get to the thing. Paul says, I'm a huge Corey Kerr fan. Before COVID, I went as Corey Kerr every Halloween. You've got it's the Corey Kerr cosplay crew. Ah, ah. um, Dylan asks, how long do you think this one shot will be? It will be 24 pages. That is the one thing I tend to be pretty consistent about. I have gone over with some like the last two issues of Morningstar had an extra page count, but I tend to be pretty consistent about 24 pages just because it's like a nice consistent bucket in which to drop a story into. It breaks it nicely into a 3-act structure and actually pretty nicely into a 5-act structure as well. So either way, it allows me to kind of break the story up into phases where I can keep things moving and amp things up and say, all right, I need to move the story on by this particular page. And it's a nice size in that it's bigger than a Marvel or DC comic, but it's not a full-on graphic novella like a 48-page. Like for instance, Gary Hodges' Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots books, they're like 40, 50 plus pages. And those to me feel like, they feel like they're graphic novellas as opposed to comics. And I think it's not so much the drawing as it is the writing that keeps me. I'm trying to get my stuff. Yes, the Greek mythology comic is an 8-issue series again. But in a perfect world, I would really write it so that each one would be a standalone. And I don't think I've become a good enough writer yet that I can write. I haven't found a way to write a standalone, a series where each issue is standalone, but it builds up a world overall. If anything, I wish I could get to that, and that's why I'm trying to spend more time writing. I'm trying to just get better at things I'm not good at. Let's see here. Oh, and hey, thanks. Paul says, great action pose, Jeremy. I appreciate that. Thank you. I realized that the chat scrolled down past me. Let me scroll back up a little bit here. I think we've gotten to that stage where I stop drawing and it turns into a talk show now. So I can get caught up with the stream because we're past an hour here. So I think I'm gonna get caught up with the stream and then we'll wrap it. Let's see here. Um, let's see here. Red says the shadow of the dog. Um, I am not sure what that part is, that comment's in relation to, because I way too long in getting down to it. Although in the actual here, I don't think let me just duplicate this and move this up to the top, make this full opacity. So in the thumbnail that I did, the shadows aren't really important. I mean, there's a darker ground plane, but it's basically going to be mostly silhouette, and it's going to be the guy with glowing eyes, the dog with glowing eyes, and then the ghostly demonic tail behind the dog. That's what the actual cover image is going to be. So this is my thumbnail for the comic. So yeah, I don't think shadows are going to be that important. And to be honest, it's not necessarily that this even needs as much detail as I'm putting in my sketch. Like neither the dog nor the man needs that much detail. But similar to Mike Mignola, I like to really figure out the understructure of my figures, even if I'm going to make it all silhouette. Um, and that's not to say that I need to draw all of the volumes. Like let's say if I were to just really quick say, all right, I'm just going to say big square for rib cage, small square, then another small square for the pelvis, um, thick ass thighs, tiny lower legs, thick ass thighs, tiny lower legs, um, beefy shoulders, long arms, fat fists. Which again, that'd be a great name for a character, Fat Fists. But anyway, my point is that this level of structure is probably all I really need. But I wasn't happy with how that was playing out. Like all of these little sketches I was doing were more sort of figure drawing-ish instead of really getting into the shape design of what's going to make a character, what's going to make him an interesting character when I see him page after page. And now really thinking about this concept of giving the character interesting proportions, like how are these proportions going to look if the character is always wearing a sport coat? How do I take somebody and make him look big and beefy? I guess really, you know what I need for reference? Odd Job from James Bond. Odd Job. I want him to be. He's a black dude with the build of Odd Job. If you guys remember the guy that had the hat that he would throw from the James Bond movies, that was like a guillotine, that would like cut people's heads off. That is like I want him to be like almost like a sumo wrestler in a three-piece suit. Um, that's the vibe that I'm going for. And I will pull up some reference of that after the stream because I don't want to. We're already going to be sitting here talking for a little while I catch up on the rest of the comments. If I start going down the reference rabbit hole, we're going to be here for hours. Let's see here. So Red says, I chose Pals and Gory title because it rhymes and it makes people curious on what it's about. Oh, the story, the project you're working on. And Paul says, your cover piqued my curiosity. You know what? I'm curious, Red, where you have your cover posted. I don't know if it's something that if you've got a personal stream that or whether you have it on your Instagram or what have you. But I'll definitely check that out. Let's see here. Let's see here. Dylan says, yeah, definitely found you through the Artcasters, and it's kind of you to say. Corey says, definitely not way smarter than you are, but I do think that you guys all the the knowledge and intelligence that you guys bring to all of your creative projects is formidable, and it's one of the reasons why I love you guys. So, um, Corey also says, Paul, I'd love to see your take on a Corey Kerr costume. I have no idea what that would be, but it'd be the most obscure costume out there. Paul says it involves a chainsaw, a motorcycle, several casts, and bandages. Yeah, see, at one point, Corey, like Marv would have been a good Halloween costume for you. Just like later on, where he's got all the bandages, the cuts all over the face. That's something I think you could actually really pull off a good Marv cosplay. Now that I think of it, let's see here. Red says I have some slapsticks like Charlie Chaplin in my comics. Sometimes to make dumb characters. Hang on, I gotta get a glass of water because for some reason my voice is just going on me. Let's hear. Dylan says, since you're working on a Greek mythology comic book, here's a trivia question: what is Hercules' proper Greek spelling of his name? Oh, it's Heracles. So instead of Her, because he was fed off of the milk of Hera, with the hope that she would not murder him because he was the baby of one of Zeus's philanderings. So they thought maybe we can endear her to him. But yeah, she still ended up making his life a living hell. But yeah, it's Hera. My yeah, this I'm using a very thick brush at the moment. It's Heracles instead of Hercules. That's the proper name. Although Heracles does not play a role in my particular story, but I read a whole lot of Greek mythology Wikipedia in the research for this comic. Let's see here. Dylan says for the Corey Kerr cosplay, Paul, don't forget the sauna. Well, the sauna is a whole cosplay unto itself. And Dylan also says Mean Girls is fantastic. Why is this not showing? There we go. Mean Girl is fantastic and iconic. I try to watch it every year because I am that girl. And Red says not the reboot, right? And Dylan, yes, absolutely not the reboot musical. Yeah, I did not watch the musical, although I hadn't really heard anything bad about it one way or the other. So I don't know. Dylan says, I've heard the musical is better. The actual musical is better than the movie musical. Well, that does not surprise me. And Dylan says, no, Gary just started his YouTube live stream. Well, no, that's good. I'm wrapping up. Go by all means, finish with me and go jump on Gary's. And you could say that you could definitely let him know that I gave him some love and a shout out. Red says, who's Gary? Dylan, yeah, Gary. The Gary he just mentioned is Gary Hodges, creator of Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots. Yes, definitely. You want to check out, if you just search for Gary Hodges, you'll see his little icon. We'll have a little dinosaur alien thing going on there. But yeah, definitely check his work out. He is yet another, and he is also a creator who I discovered through Corey and the rest of the Artcasters. So the I would say the most beautiful thing about the Artcasters is the sense of community that you guys have created, and how we're all sort of following each other and all appreciating each other. And by the way, when I had Gary on my live stream, I had not read Dinosaurs versus Mars Bots before, and I have now read issues 1 through 3, and I will tell you that it is some of the best comic book writing. The art is great. The art is right up there with the writing, but the storytelling is phenomenal, better than any indie comic has any business being, and it makes me appreciatively envious. And it's like I feel like it's putting all indie creators on notice that we got to step up our game. You gotta keep up with the Hodgeses. Let's see here. Um, Dylan likes the tree trunk thighs. I'm gonna see how that works. I definitely need to sit here and just play with the proportions. Um, and Red mentions that they posted the cover on their community post, and at Red 5038 is my channel code. All right, I'm gonna go check that out after. Everyone else can go over there and check out Red's artwork and the cover to Red's comic as well. So thank you for sharing. All right. Um, Dylan says, good job, Jeremy. Heracles, Hera the goddess, and Cleese, champion warrior. And Byron also comes in. Funnily enough, Hera and Heracles both eventually sorted things out during the Gigantomachia, where he saves her from being defiled. At that point, she reconciles with him and accepts him, even taking him on as her own personal protector. Some great mythology there. I mean, there's so many stories in Greek mythology that are wonderful and great things to pull from. So it's good. It's a great source, and that's kind of the reason why I liked setting up my story the way I did, because even though I'm trying to make it an 8 issue, just limited series, I'm kind of trying to set it up so that I can tell an infinite number of stories set in that world. So, and yes, Corey says community is awesome. It's such a cool group of creators. All right, guys. So like I said, we're past an hour here, and we got to go catch Gary's live stream. So let's bring it on home. All right. And hey, don't forget, hit that likes button, hit that subscribe button if you're new. If you've got friends who you think would enjoy this, hit that share button. Pass the words along. On that note, if you enjoy these live streams, we'd like to get additional bonus live streams twice a month. You can become a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/Jeremy. It's patreon.com/GERIMI. If you'd like to get a free digital sketchbook, work in progress animated GIFs delivered right to your inbox, blog posts about what I'm reading, what I'm watching, what's inspiring me creatively, you can sign up for my free monthly newsletter at newsletter.jeremy.net. And if you'd like to purchase physical copies of my comic books, or if you're digitally on Kindle, you can go to amazon.jeremy.net. And you can pick up books like my first graphic novel, Eye of the Gods. It is a standalone psychological thriller about a man cursed with visions he cannot control. You can pick up my most recent project, Morningstar. It is a retelling of Lucifer's fall from heaven as a Western. It's an 8-issue series. Volume 1 contains issues 1 through 4. Volume 2 contains issues 5 through 8. Both volumes have extensive back matter, character designs, thumbnails, page layouts, and more. I basically show you how I put the entire comic book together. And if you want to see what's inside these books before you buy, go to the homepage of my YouTube channel and scroll down to book flip throughs. And there's flip through videos of all of them, so you can see what's inside before you buy. All right, guys. Well, hell, let's get out of here. Let's go check out Gary's live stream. Thanks everybody for hanging out. This is bye, Jeremy. Had a fun time. See you next. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone. All right, guys. And Red, thank you. This is I truly love. I love the true Xena story about two old lovers. All right, guys. Go watch Gary's live stream. That's it for now. Go be creative.